Hello YouTube, Relativity here, and we are back with another video. I wanted to apologize that I haven't made content in a while. I was really focusing on prepping for Orlando, um, so I could do well at my very first regional. And that's actually what we're going to talk about today. Um, I have Showdown pulled up at the moment, so then we can access my team from the early stages into what I did to place 520th, I believe, out of 822 players. Okay, so let's get into this. Originally, when I was first building the team, the concept of it was I wanted to build a team around Gouging Fire and King Gambit. And some of the things I needed or I require on like all my teams are two Amoongus counters, which would have been Rillaboom and Ogerpon Hearthflame, so I wouldn't be put to sleep. Um, but the thing is, originally, um, I wasn't really getting the offensive Furgraph down. I've never really done well with Choice Specs Flare Main. It was alright, but I wasn't doing that great with it. King Gambit was kind of weird because Assault Vest was just popping off at the time. Gouging Fire was kind of understandable, but it wasn't necessarily what I liked. So going on to the second version of my team, I tried to take away the King Gambit because I didn't like having King Gambit and Rillaboom on the same team because I thought Rillaboom was just the better Assault Vest user. So I tried to replace King Gambit with another Dark type user, and I tried to make a Firewire Grass Core with Ogerpon and Incineroar, and I still wanted to keep Furrygraph because at the time priority was still a huge thing. But the thing is, Furrygraph just wasn't doing it because people already saw it from when Wolf Glick won Charlotte, so it just wasn't really working. I still tried to make it work in technically the third version of the team, but I lost track. So I got rid of Gouging Fire and replaced it with Raging Bolt. This team right here was fairly well. I didn't play well with it. I wasn't really doing good. I swapped Flare Main to Booster Energy too to get the outspeed, but it just wasn't doing the damage I wanted. So I just couldn't really handle that. Then I realized Rillaboom and Farigiraf I needed to replace because it just wasn't really working with it. So I replaced it with Chien-Pao and Lando Eye. Lando Eye felt really good as a Pokemon in general because of the sheer force and life orb. It just made it really well. And I kept Taunt because I didn't want to lose to opposing Trick Room teams, which it did come in handy for. It was really good. But the thing is, I just wasn't really doing well. I felt good with the Incineroar, Chien-Pao, Landorus, Raging Bolt, but the Flare Main just wasn't doing the damage output I wanted to, and I just couldn't really get the redirection down with Ogerpon Wellspring. So that led to my next change and be like, Chien-Pao was also kind of another thing because I wanted to fit Urshifu, but the core was originally when I changed the core from Gouging Fire to stuff, I was trying to focus around Flare Main and Ogerpon, but that didn't really work out. So I knew I wanted to get Urshifu on here, so I tried having Urshifu single strike because that was popping off, but it just wasn't really what the team needed. It wasn't really bringing anything together, and it just wasn't doing well. And when I originally had Raging Bolt, it was Assault Vest. It was doing good at the time, um, but Assault Vest just wasn't for me. So that's when I made the final change to my team, and this team really felt well. It became Rillaboom, Landers, Chiampao, Incineroar, Urshifu Rapid, and Raging Bolt. Um, Originally, I didn't know this team existed until 2 days before I went to my first local tournament with the team um, in Orlando, Florida. Um, when I went there, a lot of people were using teams like this. I ran into Brady Smith, and he was actually using the exact same six I was using, and he eventually took that team to go place second at Vancouver. And he was actually the person who made some suggestions to the team. Like originally, when I went to that tournament, I had taunt on Lando because I just didn't want to lose to Trick Room, and I originally had the common set of fake out Flare Blitz, Parting Shot, knockoff. Um, but he suggested the swap to Will O Wisp, which has saved me in so many games. So he was really the person who helped me. And before I went to the tournament, I did change Raging Bolt to the Calm Mindset. So this team just had good synergy. It was really good. I didn't do too well at that local. I think I went um, 2-3 or 2-4. I went negative. Um, it wasn't that great. So I left the tournament and I tried the changes that Brady Smith suggested. It did significantly improve my team, but it was a little bit different than what I was used to, so I had to get used to it. Then, about like a week later, I went to another local that was in Lakeland, Florida, and it was only 3 rounds because it was happening during Vancouver. Um, so unfortunately, I lost every single round. It was a fluke. I didn't have enough time to practice with the changes. It still kind of felt weird, um, but it worked. It worked, but the changes I weren't used to. Because I was so used in certain scenarios, hey, knock off um, and taunt. But I had like 2 weeks, 3 weeks afterwards. Well, I had quite a bit of time. 2 3 weeks afterwards to just keep playing and getting rounds in to prep for Orlando. And that's what I did. Every morning I would wake up for I would wake up and I would play for about 50 minutes straight and try getting as many best of one matches as I can. Um, and the one thing I can really say about this team is the synergy between Rillaboom and Raging Bolt was amazing because Leftovers Recovery and Grassy Terrain was absolutely amazing. Fake out, double fake out pressure was amazing. It helped me stall the Trick Room teams that didn't have Furograph. So that was good. Chiampao and Urshifu just did so much damage next to each other. I know most people were running Adamant Chiampao, but me, I just didn't want to risk losing due to a speed tie. So I made sure mine was jolly, as fast as it could be. Same thing with Landers. A lot of them were max speed and took a little bit out of their special attack. I was trying to mess around with that, but I just didn't like that it wasn't doing the damage I wanted to. So I just decided to keep to the standard 252, 252, 4. Only two of these had 252. It was the Landers and the Chiampao. Um, but now that that's over, um, I'm going to go into the rounds of Orlando now. I don't really know if I can pull up anything. One moment. Give me a minute to get my Switch on. Um, and then put it in the dock. I should have had this prep before. Sorry, guys. Um, okay. Got that together. Um, Everything's still set. Turn on my controller. Okay. So now, I have no idea how to make a transition. Never done this actually. So I'm gonna see one if it works. If it doesn't, then sorry, I will get back to you. I think that should work. So now we're gonna make a quick little transition right here. Um, you know, I don't really know. Um, Boop. Okay, I'm just gonna swap over. Yeah, I was trying to do something fancy with the little like swap over, but that's not really what I want. So now we're gonna go to my boxes actually, and we're gonna go to the battle team, which is gonna be right here. Check summary. So same team. Terragos Incineroar, really good. Safety goggles, of course. Had Will Wisp, Flare Blitz, Fake Out, Parting Shot. It did really well. I really liked it. It was so good for stalling and just having constant fake out pressure. Urshifu was really good. Normal set, Rillaboom, Chiampao, Lando, and Raging Bolt. So after going through that, I'm gonna take out my notes. I didn't take that many notes, but I do remember Orlando quite well. Um, so round one, I got to the venue, and I was really stressed. I'm not gonna lie, it was my first tournament. I was spending like 2 months just editing team, practicing, getting games in. So I was really nervous because I wanted to do well. I really wanted to prove that I was a good player, and I know I'm a good player, um, which really showed from the work I put in. Round one, I went up against an opponent. I don't remember. Wait, I do remember his name. I have his name on my phone right here, because I took a picture of my RK9 account. You know what? I should have probably had my RK9 account pulled up. Sorry, guys. So round one, I faced a Robert Moore. He was running the exact same team that won EUIC the weekend prior. Um, Unfortunately, I didn't have much time to prepare against this team. I knew what I had to do to win because Urshifu was just so good into it with the whole Incin, Porygon, and Ursaluna, which was brought to many games. But the but unfortunately, since I had a chemistry exam the day before the tournament, I decided to lay off on training during that week and strictly focus on the school, which may have led to my downfall in round one. So, game one, things were going pretty well. His Porygon just couldn't set up Trick Room, and I KO it early. So, he can't get his Ursaluna set up and his Instinct going. So, I was able to beat him pretty quick and pretty easily game one. And I think I led uh, Chian Pao and Urshifu actually. He did tell me he misclicked because he was always gonna fake out my Urshifu, but I Terra Ghost my Chian Pao, so he didn't get his fake out off, of course. Um, but he did fix that in games two and three. Games two and three, I should have probably used my fake out more, and I didn't really deal with. Actually, you know what? We're gonna try and make this dramatic. I don't really know how to make it dramatic because I'm not a very good editor. But we're just gonna say one thing at this tournament was the bane of my existence. This little guy right here, Amoonguss. Amoonguss came out of nowhere. The whole time while I was prepping, it wasn't a big threat. It wasn't really much. I had ways to answer with it, but so many teams this past weekend had Amoonguss on them, and I just couldn't really find ways to deal with it. And in the games I did deal with it, it eventually led to my win. But if the guy managed his Incineroar and his Amoonguss really well, I just couldn't really do anything. So that led me to lose the following two games, unfortunately. So after round one, I started off 0-1. That was a huge confidence killer. That was actually the second turn point in my downfall, in my performance. Um, the first downfall in my performance is actually a funny story. My friend who I went to the tournament with was like, I wonder if Wolf Glick's gonna be here. And I was like, um, according to the last live stream I watched, he said he wasn't gonna be coming. And then literally after I said that, I saw Wolf Glick walking towards us. So shout outs to you, Wolf, big fan. I really appreciated meeting you. It meant a lot. But afterwards, it did mess with my mental state, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be a million times harder to actually win this tournament. So that was the first downfall. Second downfall was losing round one and knowing I had to come back from that. Um, my second game was against. You know what? I'm probably gonna mess up the name. But thank you guys for being my opponents too. But round two was against Ben Omnes Norton. He was running a, I would say, fairly standard team. He was running Incineroar, Landorus, Incarnate, Porygon 2, Amoonguss, Goldango, and you know what? I actually don't remember his last month. Um, maybe maybe it was a Raging Bolt. I'm not quite sure. I would have to look that up, to be honest. You I could look that up, but nah, it'll take away time. This is already gonna be a very long video. So the one thing I was really worried about on his team is Amoonguss. I just constantly saw the little mushroom, and I got terrified because it completely ruined me in round one because his Incineroar was able to knock off my safety goggles. They were able to KO my Rillaboom early, and I just didn't have ways to deal with the Amoonguss if I didn't take it out early. So I was really worried. So I always try to get that thing off the field fast. Um, Luckily, game one he led Incin and Lando. I thought he was gonna Terra his Lando because I think I led Urshifu and my Rillaboom or something like that. Um, so instead of tearing his Landers, I thought he was gonna tear his Landers, so I just surging strikes into Incineroar, um, and faked out it, but he was Terra Grass, so luckily my fake out worked. But I think he did get a free sub up. But it didn't really hurt that bad because I was eventually able to eliminate his Incineroar, his Amoonguss in the back, and the Porygon 2 in the back. And I believe he just forfeited. Um, Game 2, he adjusted really well on how he was playing. Um, I didn't really recall much because I know I didn't even see what he had in the back. All I know is he brought Incineroar, Landorus, and Porygon 2, which uh, which sucked. That I didn't really do much. I got 4-0'd the second game. I knew I had to come back and you know do good. Um, so game three, it all came down in game three. Um, Also, game round one, it did come down to game three. I don't remember if I mentioned that, but game round two, game three, he kept doing the same leads of Incin Lando, so I was able to adjust to that fairly well. I eliminated Incin Lando pretty fast, and all I had to do was worry about the Moongus and the Porygon 2 in the back. Um, he did get my Incineroar asleep, but I did figure out how to get his Amoonguss and Porygon off the field, leading me to end round two at a 1-1 record, which was amazing. But it also still had a lot of stress because I wasn't that positive and I was still down around. Um, and the thing that sucked most is after you'll hear all this, I basically did 3 games per set for all the sets I played. So I barely had any time after finishing a set to just cool down and relax or do whatever I needed to because literally like 5 minutes after finishing a round, I would just have to go straight into the next one. So round three, this was like one of the best exhilarating rounds. I was facing my opponent Kevin. Kevin, I'm not even gonna try to say his last name, but he was a really good dude. He was very, um, he had a very confident thing about himself. He really put himself off like he knew how to play a team and all that. So game one, I was like, okay, cool. I just got done playing this team. I know exactly what he's gonna do. He's gonna lead Lando and Ensign. Great. So I lead Rillaboom and something else. I do not remember. So I try to go fake out on Lando, or not Lando, Ensign. But the thing is, his Ensign was able to outspeed my Rilla. I didn't realize people were running faster Incineroars throughout this event because I was running like a very like the lowest speed you can have with a 31 IV. Um, so I wasn't able to do that, um, which really put me behind on turn one. But I was able to pull it back because he brought the exact same four to every single game, just like my previous opponent did. He always brought Lando, Ensign, Porygon 2, and Amoonguss. But the way he played with them was so different each and every time. I really had to play and concentrate and just full fledged be in the moment to even stand a chance against this guy because he knew how to play a team and he sure did know how to play against mine. Um, so game one, I won by the like skin of my teeth, and he was able to adjust for that and be able to beat me fairly easily. Yeah, fairly easily. Especially since he was able to get Trick Room up in game two. Which really sucked because after he knocked off my safety goggles, he was just able to spore basically everything. But then it all came down to game three. We were both just locked in until probably the last 4 or 5 turns. And I realized, hey, I need to stop. I need to take a break. I need to try and relax. Because me just being locked in so hardcore and was tiring. It was really good. So while I was playing, I was also looking at stream because I had a amazing view of the stage and was able to watch stream. Um, so I did apologize to him for that, but I was telling him I was extremely tired and I just couldn't be full fledged focused because I was just mentally draining. I do apologize to Kevin for that. But the thing is, at the end of game three, I double protect to try to scout for a protect on his Lando. Um, and he didn't protect, so that was literally just a waste of a turn. So the next turn, I was like, okay, I have to do this. I have to double up into the. I think it was Incineroar out on the field at the time. I had double into the Incineroar, but unfortunately, he broke my Chien Pao's sash, and he earth powered into my Chien Pao taking out. So it was down to Landorus versus Landorus. I already used a substitute, and he already used a substitute. But my Landorus was probably at like 60% of its max HP, and his was at 75% of his max HP. So I knew this game was going to come down to speed ties and possible critical hits. Um, Thing is, I knew I wouldn't have been able to take him out in 2 shots. He would have been able to take me out in 2 shots. So we both clicked Sludge Bomb. His Landers went first, and brought me down to probably about like 10% of my max HP. And I knew the next turn I wouldn't be able to survive. But as I watched and my Landers went for Sludge Bomb into his, I couldn't believe it. But at the very bottom of the screen, it said something no Pokemon player ever wants to see on the opposing end. It was a critical hit, and that brought him down just to the range where another Sludge Bomb would KO. So it all came down to this speed tie. My opponent looked me in the eyes and asked me how fast my Landorus was because he wanted to know if it was a speed tie or not. And I told him I wasn't going to tell him that. You're just going to have to find out. But immediately in my head, I automatically started thinking it was going to be a speed tie. So, knowing my luck, I wasn't going to win a speed tie that turn, so I decided to protect and just stall it out a little bit more, try to get a little rest without really be thinking. So he sludge bombs into me, no worries, nobody took damage, nothing happened. But then it was the final same mind game again. Who's going to win the speed tie? I click sludge bomb, being like, whatever happens, happens. And if I lose, I have to win out from here. But my Landers went first, and it got the KO. And I was so happy. The excitement on my face was clear and evident. I felt so bad for my opponent. I looked at him and I said, man, you're a good player and you deserve that win, but it's just the game we play and you got unlucky. But I do wish you a good run for the rest of your tournament. Unfortunately, he dropped when he went 4-4. Um, I don't see why he didn't finish playing tournament. He was only one round away. He could have went positive, but it's not my place to judge. I didn't even finish tournament because I was so tired. I woke up at like 5 that morning and drove an hour to the venue. Um, so I don't blame him at all. He did deserve a win, and I do think he could have possibly made day two if he won that game, leaving the set at 2-1. So then we went to round three. Round three, I knew the matchup. I played against the matchup. It was I don't remember his name. It was the finalist team at Charlotte, um, the Ursaluna Blood Moon team. I knew the matchup. I knew what I had to do. So I led Urshifu and Chien Pao against his Ursaluna and Tornadus. His Tornadus went for Tailwind, and his Ursaluna Terra Normaled and was probably going to go for a Hyper Voice. But I called the Terra and I went for close combat with Urshifu and one hit KO'd the Ursaluna. And then my Chien Pao proceeded to go for Icicle Crash and picked up the KO with with Icicle Crash, leading him to have Farigiraf and Urshifu out on the field. So, unfortunately, I forgot that he set up Tailwind. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to close combat and Sacred Sword into it. But his Urshifu outsped due to Tailwind, obvious reasons, and got a critical hit and KO'd my Urshifu in one hit. I proceeded to Sacred Sword and brought him down to Sash. Following turns played out, and I was able to KO his Urshifu and Farigiraf. Okay. Leading to game two, I was trying to figure out how he was going to adjust. So I decided to bring Incineroar out in the beginning because I felt like he was going to bring the Ogerpon. So I let Incineroar Chien Pao. So, turn one, I fake out the Ogerpon every single time and Icicle Crash the Tornadus. But unfortunately, Icicle Crash misses, and I didn't get the one hit KO. So I kept cycling Incineroar in and out, in and out. Um, didn't really happen. Didn't really do well. Um, and Ogre Bond was at -4 by the end of the match. I was able to catch the Ursaluna and be able to one hit KO it again in the second round, or second game, leading him with Torn, Ogerpon, and Furrygraph. Um, I did get big damage into his Furrygraph, leaving him at like 10% of his max HP. His Ogerpon and Furrygraph were still on the field. Uh, Icicle Crash would have picked up the KO on Furrygraph, but I just didn't want to miss any moves. The swap should have been obvious, and I should have went for Icicle Crash every single time. Um, but he swapped out his Farigiraf and brought in his Tornadus. I attacked it with Sacred Sword, taking Rocky Helmet damage and losing my Chiempao, at leading it to eventually be Terrawire Urshifu versus a neutral damaged Ogerpon. And no matter what, since he had Tailwind up in the very end, there was no winning that matchup. Um, I do believe if I hit that first Icicle Crash of turn one, I would have won the set. But it's the game we play, and I learned from my mistakes. And I had to go into game three. So I figured he was going to be doing something similar. But this time he brought the Iron Hands, which I completely did not expect. I had zero preparation for it, and he got up Trick Room, and his Urshifu and Iron Hands was able to clean me through. I went 4-0 in the third game and left the round at a record of 2-2. That was really nerve wracking for me, because now I knew I had to win out. I didn't have any chance of losing anymore and being able to make day two. So that really was where my mindset changed, and I felt defeated already. Going into round five, the only round I won in two games. Um, it was against Christopher Canway. Um, this was the only guy I beat in two games, which really helped me. You know what? Maybe instead of showing my screen, since I'm not even doing it, I'm gonna swap it to this. So with his team, his main damage output was his Iron Hands, because it had Clear Amulet. It was doing good, but I just prevented him from being able to do it because I will o wisp it in game one and game two, and he just wasn't able to do the damage output compared to my team. I constantly just kept swapping Incineroar with Rillaboom, constantly keeping fake out pressure and just being able to do damage with my partner. Unfortunately, he played through the first game, but then he forfeited in a second game after he lost his Flutter Mane. I could tell he wasn't having it, and neither was I. I was already getting tired. It was getting close to 3 o'clock. I've almost been up for like 12 hours at this point, and I was just tired. We waited. It was the only downtime I had. I went to go check out the vendors afterwards, um, which there wasn't actually much. It was a lot of trading card stuff, but they did have a few cute plushies, that my friend did proceed to buy his own Mew plushie. Um, at this point, my friend had dropped from the tournament too, and he said he was only staying till I couldn't make day two, which that really did help me, but me being tired wasn't helping my play. Then going into my final round, it was against Rhett Hamlin. He had a pretty common team, but the thing is, it was another Amoongus. I was tired of it. He was able to knock off my safety goggles, and basically I couldn't keep anything safe from from his Amoongus. So I lost game one fairly fast, and the only thing I was able to eliminate was his Amoongus. So going into game two, I was like, I don't really know how he's gonna adjust or what is he gonna do because what he did was so good into me. But this time he decided to leave Flutter and Amoongus. I was able to eliminate Fluttermane with a wood hammer early on, so I didn't really have to worry about it. Um, and eventually, I just locked in so much because I knew if I lost this, I was going home. So I tried my best. I eventually ended up Terra Fire my Rillaboom so it didn't take too much damage from Incin. I was able to KO his Incin, Urshifu Water, and Amoongus, leading us to Game 3. Um, he learned from his mistake in Game 2 of not bringing Farigiraf because my team had so much priority that I could just use it and basically beat him. But I got rid of his Farigiraf early on, but then at some point he got a free swap in to to Fluttermane. He KO'd my Rillaboom really early, and he teared his Amoonguss where I had absolutely nothing that could touch him. Um, it was quite unfortunate. I was quite upset that I didn't perform as well. Most of the rounds, I felt like I was in control, but the players I was facing just did really well at adjusting and making sure that I couldn't fully maintain control. Farigiraf usage was higher than I thought it would be. I thought Farigiraf was dying down because I didn't see many at Charlotte and I didn't really see many at EYC. But in day one usage, Farigiraf did make the cut, um, I believe, for day one. But then going into day two, the Farigiraf just fell off. Um, but I didn't go to day two because after round six, it was almost 5 o'clock. I was up for 12 hours at that point. I was getting really tired. My friend could tell my play was slipping, the and he was like, "Bruh, if you continue, you're not gonna be able to do it. I still think you can go 6-3 or 5-4. I know you can go positive," he said, "but you're just gonna get worse the further you go on." Um, and I did listen to him, and I knew that was true. Um, I I just couldn't keep up. I do think if I got a hotel and walked over um, and got a better full night's rest, I would have been able to keep up. But I just couldn't. Um, I will learn from my mistakes for that, and hopefully, I am looking to go to North American International Championships and prove myself there. Um, I'm very proud of the team. It did absolutely amazing. I couldn't I couldn't hate my performance because for a first regional going 3-3, even though I totally believe I could have gone 6-3 if but we'll never know. It was a very good performance on my part. Um, but if you do look at the top teams, Wolf Glick, he did end up winning his ninth regional championships. And I completely think from the way he was playing, he deserves that win. And I can only ever hope to emulate the success that he has had. I hope that the more events I start attending, the more events I can start placing well, that people will start realizing about me because I know I'm not a well known player. But I am glad for those who do support me and have supported me through this trip. Um, I do have a couple shout outs at the end of this video. Well, it's ending right about now. Shout out to my friend Alex. You really helped me during like the 2 months. 2 months I was prepping. You gave me the confidence to keep going, even though it felt like sometimes I didn't have anyone there. Um, on the Pokemon side of things, I did have people there, but I didn't feel like I had the support to be able to build and do a team that was good enough. Um, Shout out to my friend Keanu, who went to the tournament with me and actually stayed there until I couldn't make day two. It was really great. I could tell he was getting tired just as much as I was, but I'm glad he stayed and supported me. And the thought of him coming back, even though he wasn't playing, he said he was going to come back if I made day two. So thanks for the support, Keanu. Really means a lot. And shout out to my parents. They did come to the tournament. They only watched the first two rounds. I understand. They're not really Pokemon fanatics and they don't fully understand uh, relativity. They don't fully understand this perspective of relativity and wanting to do well at Pokemon, and something that I'm passionate about. But they still tried to support me and make it through. Really, thanks to my mom a lot. She was the one who helped me get members for my team because she had Scarlet, which is where I got the Raging Bolt from. And she also played through Legends Arceus, where I got the Landorus from. So thank you to her for helping me be able to make the teams I do. Because if I didn't have her helping me while I'm managing school, I wouldn't have been able to be as prepared for this tournament as I was without her. Um, I would also like to say thank you to Brady Smith again, because he did help me with changes to the team, and watching him perform in Vancouver really did help my playstyle a little bit more, making me feel more confident with the team. Um, and that's about it. I'm actually gonna swap back over to the game and go to the rental area. If any of y'all want to play ladder for the last few weeks, it's gonna be Reg F. Y'all can use my rental code. Um, I'm really proud of this team, and it truly means a lot to me. Um, but let me go back to this. Okay. So now we're gonna go to the rental code for y'all. Sorry guys, it's taking a minute. Um, so we're gonna go to Poke Portal and go about Stadium and go to Rental Teams. Share your battle teams and check details. So this is the code. I hope y'all do try it out. It was a really fun team to play with. I'm so glad I could have gotten the placement I did. I do think for my first regional placing, I believe 520th out of 822 isn't that bad. But when or if I do go to NAIC, I will do better and I will take the time to try and make day two. Day two is my goal, and I will try more. And I will be putting out more content now since my schedule is lightening up. because the school semester is almost over. I don't really have to prep for a tournament um, unless I do sign up for NAIC. Then I will be building a team, but I will try to be pushing out content on the side. Um, Thank you for your support, and if you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you would like to see more, because this is actually a more heartfelt video than anything. I know y'all might not be fully interested in it, but I just needed to talk about it and let y'all know about my first regional, and I hope to see more of you. I hope to spread this community and do well. But I will see y'all in the next video.